Hey everyone, Dan here. Welcome to Revealed in a Chair, where it's not just about hair, it's everything we talk about behind the chair. Do you know what's interesting? A lot of people say my hair is dry. And some of you might be like, Dan, well, my hair is dry. And honestly, all the years of doing hair, I get it. Because when your hair feels rough, frizzy, brittle, tangled, or just impossible to manage, it feels like you're constantly chasing the next thing that might finally work. Another oil, another cream, another mask, another leave-in. And eventually the routine gets bigger, but the hair doesn't get better. But here's the thing, dry hair isn't always just one thing. Let me repeat that. Dry hair isn't always just one thing. Sometimes it's dehydration, sometimes it's damage, sometimes it's buildup, and sometimes the hair is simply overwhelmed. So today, I want to help you look at your hair differently. Not just at what the hair feels like, but what might be actually happening underneath. So how do you like your hair? You know, as a stylist behind a chair, some of the things I might hear is that my hair feels rough. It tangles too easy. It looks dull. It won't stay moisturized. And usually all this gets labeled as one thing, dry. But dry hair can mean completely different things. And if we treat every version of dry hair the same way, we can miss what the hair actually needs. And that's where the frustration starts, because people have tried the oils, the masks, the leave-ins, and somehow the hair still feels off. Sometimes the issue isn't what the hair is missing, it's what the hair is holding on to. And that changes the entire conversation. Sometimes hair is truly dehydrated. It needs moisture. It loses softness and flexibility. But sometimes it's environmental too. Too much heat, too much cold air, too much switching between extremes. And if you live somewhere like in the Midwest, your hair goes from freezing air outside to dry furnace heat inside over and over again. And eventually the hair reacts. It gets rough, frizzy, staticky, harder to manage. But that doesn't automatically mean that your hair is ruined. It means that your hair is responding to what's around it. And sometimes buildup can enter the picture too. And that's where people get confused, because buildup can make the hair feel dry when dryness isn't the full issue. It's kind of like when someone says, I don't feel good. That feeling is real, but there could be multiple reasons behind it. Hair works the same way. Dryness is often a symptom, not the full diagnosis. So what does dry hair usually look like? People say it feels rough, it tangles easy, it doesn't shine, it feels weak, it looks frizzy. How does the hair react to water? How does it behave after washing? How does it respond to product? All of that matters. You know, one of the biggest clues is water. If the hair absorbs water very quickly, sometimes that points to dehydration or damage. But if the water sits on the surface, that can point to buildup or coating. And this is where people get stuck, because they think if my hair feels dry, I need more moisture. But sometimes hair doesn't need more product. Sometimes it needs less sitting on it. And I see this all the time. More oils, more creams, more masks, and temporarily the hair feels softer. But underneath, the actual issue never gets addressed. It's kind of like putting lotion on dehydrated skin without drinking water. You know, the surface may feel smoother temporarily, but that doesn't always fix what's happening underneath. Hair can work the same way. And this is where perspective changes everything. Sometimes the answer is hydration, sometimes it's repair, but sometimes the hair needs a reset. Like using a clarifying shampoo to remove cosmetic buildup. But like I said in my last video, you might need to go see a salon professional to get a demineralizing treatment to remove the internal buildup, which I highly recommend, because once you do that, your hair will function normal again. You know, because if the hair is crowded, coated, or blocked, adding more just keeps making the problem louder. And once people understand that, hair care starts making a lot more sense. So what actually helps? Observation. Not panic, not trends, observation. Pay attention to how your hair behaves. Pay attention to whether it feels truly dry or simply overloaded. Because sometimes the hair needs hydration, sometimes it needs protection, sometimes it needs less heat, sometimes it needs less product, and sometimes it just needs a professional reset so it can respond properly again. The goal isn't to chase every product trend. The goal is to understand what the hair actually needs. So the next time your hair feels dry, slow down, look at the pattern, look at the behavior, ask yourself what the hair is actually doing. Because once you stop treating every dry feeling hair the same way, you start seeing the difference between symptom and the real issue underneath. And that changes everything. Because when you understand the cause, you can finally stop guessing and start caring for the hair in a way that actually makes sense. Stay tuned for the next episode where we do a live case study on dry hair, where we take your work from the outside and transform it within. Stay tuned.